everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I've got two 9mm single stack guns on the table. Both of these are competing for that ultra concealed carry, real thin, real small carry market, whether it's inside the waistband, dress clothes, or pocket carry, that type of thing. One of them is the Glock 43, 9mm, and the M&P Shield M2.0. Now, we previously looked at the original Shield, and if we were doing this video with the original Shield, the video would play out a little different. We'd introduce the two guns, so we'd set the Shield aside and talk about holsters and accessories for the Glock, and that would be the end of that. That's not really true anymore. The M&P is a definite contender. And of course, the M&P is a Smith & Wesson, and the 43 is a Glock. The new Shield, the M2.0, vastly improved, notably the trigger and some other aspects of the gun, that it really truly is a viable competitor. When we tried one of these out, we really liked it, despite not having liked the original Shield at all. Let's talk about the dimensions a little bit before I pick them up, as you should do that when they're sitting side by side. The Glock is 6.26 inches long, and the Shield is 6.1 inches long. So Shield's a little bit shorter, but it does have a shorter barrel, a 3.1 inch barrel versus 3.4 in the Glock. The height of them, the Shield is 4.5 inches tall, and the 43 is 4.25 inches tall. So the 43 is shorter by about a quarter inch. It's also got one fewer round capacity. This one is capable of 6 rounds plus 1 in the chamber, and that's the end of that unless you go aftermarket. The Shield comes with a flush 7-round magazine like you see here. Of course, you can have one in the chamber, and it also comes with an 8-round magazine. So you're paying for that extra capacity with a quarter inch of height, but you do have that extra capacity. So let's pick these things up and talk about them a little bit more. And we'll start by, of course, showing you that they are unloaded. We have an unloaded Glock. And we have an unloaded Shield. Let's talk about the magazines for the two guns. So I've got one of the Glock magazines laying right here. It's a flush mount magazine, holds 6 as it was mentioned. And we have this pinky extender magazine, which is truly just a pinky extender. All it does is give you a place to put your pinky, still holds 6 rounds. And those are the only two options that are available, and these two come with the gun. The Shield comes with a 7-round flush magazine, which is right here, and it comes with an 8-round pinky extender. And in this case, the pinky extender also is adding capacity. So you've got a total of 8 rounds. So you do have a little advantage there on the side of the Shield over the Glock with its less capable capacity. Other than that, the guns are very similar in overall function. Shield has a hinge trigger, which is part of the drop safety mechanism. The Glock has the classic Glock split trigger, which is part of the drop safety. Both of these are drop safe. They do have the striker block pistons, and both of them are striker fired guns. Both of them have really nice sights. The Shield has a 3-dot sight arrangement, and the Glock has your classic Glock U-dot arrangement. Both of them are very, very easy to see at the range, and we found both of these guns were pretty easy to shoot well. Shooting these smaller guns can be a little bit challenging, but either one of them with a little bit of practice, you're going to be able to do quite well. The sights are changeable on either one of them. They're dovetail front and rear on the Shield, and on the Glock it's dovetail at the rear, and then there's a little screw underneath at the front. So either one could be replaced with night sights or fiber optic or whatever it was that was going to thrill you. Neither one of them has a Picatinny rail. This one has kind of like the form of what would be a Picatinny rail, but there isn't a rail there. Now, of course, the Glock, there's a large aftermarket following of trigger guard lasers and all sorts of things you can put on it. The Shield has a little bit less of that, but you can get this with a factory laser option. So you can get it from Smith & Wesson with the laser. You can also get it with a thumb safety. It goes right about here. So the Shield is available with a thumb safety, and the Glock is available in any version you want as long as it's this one. Other than that, they have fairly simplistic controls. You just got your takedown mechanism and your slide stop, slide release. Same on that one. If you had a thumb safety, it would be here. And then very easy to use mag release. Both of these, all of the controls work well. I do find on this one it's a little harder to thumb the slide stop down than it is on the Glock, but that's just a matter of use it a few times and it'll probably break right in. From an ergonomic standpoint, both of them are comfortable to hold, easy to use. The fish scale serrations on the Shield are really easy to get a hold of, pull back on it, and it's relatively easy to cycle it. And you do have some minimal front serrations, but they're a little more difficult to use because they're not very big. On the Glock, you got your standard straight up and down. Glock's also quite easy to cycle, but there are no front serrations in the Glock. It's just smooth. The Shield does have a little bit different stippling pattern. On the Glock, it's little pyramids, little squares, front, on the front strap as well as the back strap. It's easy to hold on to, it's comfortable, and when you get a hold of it, it's easy to grip it. But when you rub your skin across it, you can feel the bumps, but it's relatively smooth. It doesn't want to try to get a hold of you. Now, when you grab close your hand on it, they kind of grab in and they hold on nicely. The Shield has this sandpapery texture. It's equally easy to hold on to. It's all the way around and in the back strap. And by the way, neither one of these have replaceable back straps. And it's easy to get a hold of and hold up onto. It's not going to go anywhere. But when you rub across it, it's kind of like sandpaper. It's kind of irritating. So if you're using this one in like inside the waistband and it's up against your body, you're going to find you're going to want something between this and your body, because this is going to kind of want to abrade. The Glock, a little bit less so. It just doesn't. They're just not quite as aggressive. That's a minor thing. Chances are pretty good you're going to want to either have a holster with a flap or a undershirt or something like that anyway, so it's not really a big deal, but it is just a little bit more noticeable. The Shield is stainless steel slide, stainless steel barrel, and then surface treated. The Glock is steel and surface treated, so that would be an advantage for the Shield, but I've never really heard of a Glock rusting. The surface treatment on a Glock works well and it protects it well, so that's never been a problem. So I don't anticipate you having a problem with either one of them if you even remotely take care of it. Now, Takedown's a little different on both of them, and it's relatively easy on both. On this one, on the Shield, you have this little lever in here. You can see it sticking up right there. So if I get the light on it, you can see it in the mag well. And that little lever you can push down to turn off to disable the sear. And if I can get a hold of it, it's a little bit hard to get a hold of it. Turn it around so I can see it. Right here. It was hidden behind the ejector. Now you can see it a lot better. It's down and it's yellow. That disables the sear. With that feature, you don't have to pull the trigger. Or you can totally ignore that and just pull the trigger. But if you want to not have to pull the trigger, you'd open it up and reach in, push that down, and you would then, when you put the magazine back in, if you forget to put it back up, the magazine will bump it back up. And then once you've got that taken care of, you move it forward, and whoops, I forgot. This one you have to, with it back, you lift up this arm. And it's a little bit difficult to get it to go. It fits a little tight, but once you get a hold of it, you turn it down. And now it's under spring tension, so when you release it, then it'll come right apart. The Glock doesn't have the complexity. It has these little tabs, but they can be a little difficult sometimes for people to get a hold of. But what you would do with the Glock is you do have to pull the trigger, pull it back just a hair to take the tension off it, and then pull down on those tabs, and apart it comes. Now for the bigger Glocks, there is a little tool to grab a hold of these, but this one here, but it really doesn't fit as well on the 43. It's a little bit too small. The gun just doesn't fit right with it. So these are less useful on the 43, but they work quite well on the larger guns. Once you have them apart, the internals are relatively similar. You can see design and manufacturing differences, but from an overall quality and build perspective, they're equally well built, just slightly different design. And when you look at the slides, both of them are clean, well machined, well manufactured. Both of them have dual captive recoil springs, and both of them have a striker block. On the Shield, it's here at the back, and on the Glock, it's up here at the front. Both are equally functional. These guns, I've never heard of either one of these firing unintentionally when they were dropped. So you've got two well-designed guns. So kind of why would I pick one over the other? Well, if you're a Glock, if you favor Glocks, this 43 works like any other Glock. So if you've got a Glock 43, a 26, maybe a 29, and you're going between them for different purposes, they're going to work identically. With the Shield, it's similar to the M&P, but it doesn't have quite the whole class of caliber compatibility and sizes. So if that's important, then the Glock's going to shine. If that's not important, then the Glock doesn't really have any significant advantage over the Shield. Let's go ahead and put this Shield back together. Slide it on, lock it back, flip the lever up. It goes up a lot easier when it comes down. And I've got a dead trigger. Oh, what's wrong? Yeah, I didn't push that little lever up. But no fear, if you forget to do that when you slam a magazine into it, you've got a functional trigger again. So you can't go out in the field accidentally with the trigger unoperable because of forgetting to do that. But when you go to bench test it after you put it back together, you might suddenly think that you broke it, and it's just that little arm. And of course, if you don't use that, then that's not even a concern at all. Putting the Glock back together is equally easy. Lock it back. You don't even have to lock it back, really just pull it all the way back and let go. And it's operational again. The triggers on these two are similar when they're factory. This Glock has a minus connector in it, -1, it goes to edge connector. So it takes it down around 4.5 pound territory. Factory, either one of these is in the 5.5 pound territory. So let's start with the Glock's trigger. Now all that edge connector does really is take a pound off it. It doesn't change the overall behavior. So you've got a little bit of take up onto a wall, nice crisp wall, a nice short crisp break, a nice short reset that's right on the wall. When you come off the reset, there's no take up, you're there. And the break again. And on the shield, this little hinge trigger, some people don't like it. You don't really notice it. During the take up, it comes out and kind of locks into place. It makes the take up just a hair squishy feeling as you tilt this piece, but it's really not noticeable. Now you're on the wall, it's a nice crisp wall, short break, a little bit of over travel, but not a bad over travel. Similar reset to the Glock, and you're right on the wall, and then back again. Now there is a little over travel bump stop on there, but it's not adjustable. So there's just a hair over travel after the sear breaks, but not enough to make any real kind of difference. It's just you can detect it. Other than that, the triggers are roughly equal. And that is the big thing that makes the M2.0 even worth considering against the Glock or many of the others. The original M&P Shield had a hideous trigger. This one actually has a quite nice trigger. And it's really down to the point where I would pick either one of them. We've actually got these for a get-home bag that we're working on. And the biggest reason I would lean towards the Glock personally is I carry a Glock 26, I use a Glock 29 hunting, and you know I've got a lot of Glocks, so that consistency is just kind of nice. But other than that, there's nothing that would be compelling to say, gotta have this one or gotta have that one. Price might come into play. The Glock has an MSRP of around $529, can commonly be had for around $449, probably cheaper, it'll vary depending on times, but this one can be had roughly $450. The MSRP on this one without the thumb safety is $479. So its MSRP starts 20 bucks roughly or 30 bucks higher than what you can get the Glock for. And you can routinely get this for around $349. So you can get this more inexpensively routinely than the Glock. So that might give you an advantage if price is a factor. You know, roughly 100 bucks cheaper any day of the week to get the Shield M2.0, and you're going to get a nice gun. So I won't say that either one of them is better than the other, but I will say that either one that you choose is going to serve you well, and depending on what factors play into it, is capacity an issue? Now the Shield's going to win. If it's the smallest, shortest thing you can get, then the Glock is going to win. And that can kind of be seen, like if I put the two of them up on their ends, you can see that the Glock is shorter, and it's quite hard to tell here. And then if I put them this, and I put them side by side, you can see how much shorter the Glock is in the grip area. You also can kind of get an idea with the difference in the barrels. If I get them lined up, you can see how much shorter the barrel in the Shield is than the Glock. You can see how it lines up. And of course on the Shield you can see the witness hole for seeing if there's a loaded chamber. And in the Glock, the extractor sticks out a little bit. But again, those are minor nuances. Neither one is going to overall make a huge difference in functionality or usability. It's really going to come down to which features you want and which manufacturer you prefer. Either one of them has been proven to be reliable and should work. If you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and click that bell if you subscribe. That way you get notified. Check us out on Facebook and Patreon, and have a great day. Thank you.